Welcome to the BlackKnight Nation podcast. I'm your host, Sal Interdonato, here with my co-host, Steve Anderson. This is another episode. We're on episode 101 now, the BlackKnight Nation podcast, and we couldn't do it without our folks at Higher Echelon who sponsor us. Joe Ross, founder, who former Army coach, former Army fullback, and former Army officer. Joe was on podcast number 100. Check that podcast out. Steve, man, he told some really good stories on that podcast. Guys, if you have about an hour, you mowing your lawn or you're on the beach getting a tan, take a listen to that. It's on Spotify now too. So if you have Spotify, you guys could just go to BlackKnight Nation. First episode up is Joe Ross. Check out BlackKnight Nation, our website. I was at the scrimmage Saturday, Steve. At the Army scrimmage on Saturday. Had my daughter there. She was like my assistant there with photos and video. And man, it was. Cam Shore had a big game, big scrimmage there, 7 catches. I just wrote a story on him that's up on the website. We have exclusive interviews with Isaiah Austin. We have exclusive interviews with Isaiah Morris. We have Coach Munkin talking about the scrimmage too. So check that out. And our BlackKnight Nation Instagram page is on fire. We're getting close to 1,000 followers. So guys, if you want to give us a subscribe on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, we appreciate it. Steve, you had a couple things to say before we welcome in our guest.
Yeah, no, just wanted to give another shout out to Coach Robert Lyles. He's doing, his very best. He's fighting for his life. He's getting better every day, but still a long, long road. He's going to need a new heart. So if you guys can just check out the BlackKnight Nation page, it's been shared a couple times. If you go to any Army football player that's played between 2007 and 2013 when Bobby Love was there, I'm sure it's on their Facebook page or their Twitter account.
I have here's the GoFundMe page right now.
Yep,
if you guys
appreciate it, Sal. And Coach Lyles continues to say, if you know anything about him, he just really appreciates the prayer. He is a man of faith, and the GoFundMe is going. We're just under halfway there to getting the man a new heart. And like his buddy says, his heart didn't stop on him. He ran to stop his heart. So anyway, I just wanted to give a plug for Coach Lyles. He's down in Baylor, Houston area, Baylor St. Luke's Hospital. So just give $1 or just say a prayer for Coach Lyles.
Absolutely. To see everybody that's contributed to the GoFundMe page, you see a lot of former players' names on that list. Please go support that. Now we're going to welcome in our guest from Thomas University, Orlando Mitjans and Andy Wolfrum. They both have Army football ties. Orlando coached the corners when he was there at Army. Jeff Munkin, first staff, and Andy was the longtime coach at Army Prep. Guys, thanks so much for your time tonight.
Well, thank you for having us here. I enjoyed it. The only thing I wanted to say is I worked at West Point, and you never had me on your show. And now I'm away from West Point, and you have me on your show. So thank you.
That's back when we were doing SoundCloud, Orlando. We were doing like audio only in those days.
Yeah, Orlando, you got to remember, me and Sal started this back where I call it the year of the ring, which was 2016. Okay. Where I lost my class ring.
Did you really?
I lost it 2 weeks after getting it. Okay.
Wow.
Air Force game weekend. It was kind of crazy. But lost my class ring, had the insurance on it. But I lost it in 2011 or 2010. Really? Lost it in 2010. In 2016, at the very beginning of the season, I get a call from AOG saying, "Hey, is this Captain Anderson?" I was like, "Yeah." And they go, "Do you have something subscribed on the inside of your ring?" I said, "Yes." And I told them what it was, and they go, "Hey, we have your ring." I was like, "Oh,
really?
Where'd you find that?"
Wow.
I go, "Where did you find that?" And they go, "In the bushes at the hospital." I was like, "Oh God, the heck was I doing around there?"
Wow.
But that was also the year that we broke the streak. Army beats Navy, so we called it. It was # Year of the Ring. A small story about that, but that's when we started. So and we were just doing SoundCloud at the time. But anyway, appreciate you guys coming in. I hit up Andy as soon as I saw that he Thomas University was a thing, and I was like, Well, I gotta learn about this because super cool, super interested in hearing more about it. So thank you for coming on.
Yeah, and a question for you guys. My first question, and we'll throw it to Steve Anderson. Man, you still got some snaps in you, right? Is Steve eligible to play for you at Thomas University?
I'll let Andy answer that question.
Yeah, hey, absolutely. Come grab a helmet, Steve. We're in need. We got spots.
And that's my first question. How do I have eligibility at a college football level if I've already used up my eligibility?
Yeah, I think actually that's not quite true. There are differences in NCAA and NAIA eligibility, but in general, it is the same. You have 5 years to play for in the NCAA, and the NAIA, if not mistaken, it's 10 semesters to play for.
Right.
Your clock doesn't run exactly the same as the NCAA, but we are looking for veterans. I mean, that's what the program is built upon. I'm sure that's that information's been given out to you guys, and we're not like anybody else in the country, and that's why.
Yeah, no, and Andy, I mean, if last year when I was in command, I had 3 super athletic, talented soldiers, young NCOs that didn't know if the Army was for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
First initial guys,
Mm-hmm.
super athletic, didn't get a chance out of high school for whatever reason, got in trouble, didn't have the grades, joined the Army to figure it out. And I think this is just tremendous because those are the guys that you guys will get. I mean, it's guys that play in semi-pro leagues in their off season.
Yes.
Correct. Absolutely.
I mean, not even in off season, just when it's time. Those guys sign up for basketball leagues, football leagues. They have to play sports, and they're the same age. They're 21, 22 years old.
Yeah.
So,
Correct.
I mean, I would probably say if your team is made up of mostly veterans, I would say your average age is probably around 24 then, maybe 24.
That is correct. And it's so tough right now to get veterans because you just don't know when they're going to exit out. So it's a hit and miss at this time. Right now, we probably have on the roster somewhere between 3 and 4 veterans. But at the same time, I think on a year basis, we'll probably try to land somewhere between 5 to 10 veterans a year. If we can do that, I think we're going in the right direction. Because as you know, being in the military, you just can't. You just don't know when you're going to exit out. You just don't know.
Well, I'd also say guys like me are probably a huge boost to like showing guys this is another opportunity. I don't know if a lot of guys know about this thing where it's like, hey man, you don't have to use your GI Bill. Just go dominate on a football field.
Right.
And you can keep your GI Bill. And then if you guys want to keep serving, you can come back as an officer if you want to.
Correct.
You'll have a degree. So I think we owe it to you guys. I mean, I think this is a fantastic idea because everywhere I've been, there are young soldiers that are legitimately extremely talented, but just didn't have the right mentor, didn't have the right decision making, got in trouble, all that kind of stuff. And if we can just share it about this organization, this program, I think you guys will be landing more than 5 to 10 a year.
I agree.
Steve, you're right. I mean, everybody's going out on that PT field on Monday morning or whatever, and those guys walk among us. You see that guy, and you're like, whoa, that guy could be doing something for somebody at the collegiate level. We got to find a way for him to help, for him to get word that we are who we are, and there's a spot for him in America. It's a roster spot set up for him. He's not just the token guy that runs out holding the flag at the Texas game, and everybody cheers out of respect, and then he never plays. Okay, we got roster spots set aside for these kind of guys. But you touched on it. How do you get that word out other than word of mouth? Coach O just said the Army doesn't keep a big database, and they sure don't share it if they did about these are all the guys that are getting out. Go ahead, here, take them. It just doesn't exist. So the challenge is, how do we find ways to get our brand in front of departing service members? We're not trying to compete with the Department of Defense. If the guy wants to stay in, we're not going to go try and recruit him out of that. But we want to do is let them know there's a spot that's set up for you. It's not just an opportunity for veterans. It is set aside for veterans, and it's going to be guys just like you.
Yeah, I wonder if, like you said, you don't want to compete, but I do believe this is something we can get in front of the retention committee, or we can get in front of at SFL TAP, Soldier for Life.
Yeah.
And as guys are like trying to figure out, okay, I know I don't want to be in the Army anymore, right? But what do I want to do? This should be one of the briefings every person who's getting out of the Army should get is, hey, have you heard about this type of organization for sports? So I think if you guys can tap into the SFL TAP, the ACS community, I don't know, have you guys had any luck of banging on that door and anybody opening yet?
I know we have a person on staff, Stephen Ferguson. That's what he's entitled right now to do. He's working all those angles right now for us. And some doors are opening and some doors are not opening as of yet. But he's done a great job of knocking on those doors and getting the word out there that what we have to offer. Even to the extent that we've now got involved with the National Guard. And the National Guard is working. The Georgia National Guard is working with us with high school young men and even transfers, where any young man that wants to be in the National Guard, they're going to bring them in and they're going to allow them to play football. They don't have to do anything during the football season with the National Guard, and the only time they'll have any time with the National Guard will be during the off season.
Yeah, but also it's kind of like what our guys do when they go pro out of West Point, right? Like, yeah, they're not serving anymore, but they're a huge recruitment tool.
Correct.
Right? So maybe those guys in the off season for the National Guard, maybe they're not doing drill, maybe they're going to high schools, right? And telling their story, right? Hearing a Josh McNary and Ali Villanueva Martin or one of those stories, it's like, oh, well, maybe it's not so, maybe there are opportunities through that route or this route. That's awesome. Georgia National Guard. That's the 48th Infantry, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Oh yeah. I was stationed at Fort Stewart, so we work with them a little bit.
Okay.
I'm trying to get back to Fort Stewart eventually. So might be able to catch some games in a couple years down there.
Okay. Good.
Nice. Orlando, why don't you talk to us a little bit about how this came about? I know you were coaching at the Citadel when this opportunity came around, and why you jumped on it.
Well, it was you're quite right there. I was at the Citadel at the time. I received a phone call from Dr. Shepard. He left me a message, saying that he wanted to start a program at Thomas University for me to reach out to him. And to be honest with you, I thought it was a joke. I really was. I thought somebody was playing a game with me. So I didn't pay it any mind. A couple of days went by. I didn't return the call. He called me back again, and we were getting involved, getting ready for a game, and he left me another message. And this time when he left me the message, he said that he received my number and my name through Coach Munkin. He got my information from Coach Munkin, and I was like, I don't know how true this is. Somebody again. So what I did was I picked up the phone and called Coach Munkin and asked Coach Munkin, did he know Dr. Shepard? And he said, well, Dr. Shepard had reached out to him, wanted some names of people that he felt that would be good candidates to help him start this program. So then I said, okay, maybe I need to call him. So I called him back and we started talking, and we talked about, I would say 4 or 5 different times over the phone. And then I got involved in the interview process. And the more I heard about his vision, the more excited I became about the program, to the point where I got a chance to do some interviews on Zoom with some of the cabinet, and things went well, and I started hearing what they wanted to accomplish and how they were going to build the facilities and what their plans were. Once our season ended at the Citadel, they flew me in. I had the opportunity to walk around campus, meet everybody face to face, and really, really try to understand his dream and his vision. And I kept saying to myself, do they really know what they're doing? Because this is a big project. This is a really big project. Because at the time they wanted it to be 100% military. They wanted to go 100% veterans, 100%. And I was like, that's gonna be tough. I felt that would be tough. And then we kind of talked it down to about 90%, and kept talking to him, and he was still trying to convince me. And I hadn't committed to taking the jobs, and he jumped on the plane and came up to Charleston, South Carolina, where I was, and we went to dinner, and he said, "Listen, you go ahead and put the whole plan together." He told me to put the budget together, what it's going to cost to start a program, and what you're going to need, and to do this. And because originally he wanted me to only have 3 coaches, and I was like, that could be tough to have only 3 coaches and start a program like that. And so he gave me about a week to put a budget together and some notes on how to, what I'm going to need, how many coaches I'm going to need to put. And then he flew back up again, and we sat and talked about it. And I told him I'm going to need at least 6 coaches, 6 full-time coaches plus myself. And I laid out the whole budget to him, and everything I put on the table, he kept saying yes, no problem, yes, no problem. And I was like, something's wrong here. It can't be this easy. It can never be this easy. And so I kept giving him things, hoping that he would say, I can't do it. He wasn't going to buy in, and everything I threw on the table, he kept saying yes, no problem. And I was like, well, I guess he backed me into a corner. I guess I got to take the job. So I ended up taking the job, and the first call I made was to Andy, because I had a relationship with Andy when I worked at West Point, and I respect what he does. I like the way he works with young people.
I think he might have froze up a little bit. Andy, can you talk a little bit about your first conversation with Orlando about Thomas University?
Yeah, well, when Coach O called, he explained it, and I thought that's an interesting concept, and I kind of left it at that, and it went to the back burner for a little while, but he called again and asked, and that's one of those things where you just go, man, that is just wild enough it might work, and then you really wrap your head around it and go, it might work, we can make it work. And you get to help vets. You get to create something from scratch, which very few of us ever do. And I was going to, I'm leaving close to home. And there's not enough time left in the show to tell you all the good things about Army and Army prep. I don't have to tell that to you or your audience. But there was something about it where I might get my family back closer to my wife's side of the family. And I get out from the prep school level and get a chance to coordinate a defense or a program that doesn't exist, that's built from veterans. Like, what's not to like about that? And Coach has been remarkable in making the transition easy for all of us. President Shepard, if you guys could get a chance to talk to him and you hear the passion in his voice about helping veterans and creating football here, you'd be sold pretty quick that this is feasible and it's possible, and we're putting everything we got behind it. I mean, we haven't had the normal stumbling blocks. We have our problems, so just like everybody else. But to come down here and start from scratch and be welcomed, not just by TU itself, but by the community, has been fantastic.
Yeah, so Orlando, not only did you add Andy to your staff, you also added another former Army assistant in Pat Tracy, right? Talk about building your staff, and as a guy who's coached at the academy, knows you're bringing in some veterans.
That's a good one. Yeah, I felt that if I can bring enough coaches around that understood the military life and what it's about to be in the military, it will be easier for these young men when the transition. So it was important for me to hire guys that understood what young men go through when they're in the military. So to hire Pat, that was great. And then I hired a GA that was also in the National Guard. I hired another GA that's going to work on the D line, assisting on the D line. That's also been in the military. I believe we have about 5 young men that on the staff that have had some dealings in the military, which is going to make it so much easier. And then plus we have some coaches that also coached, military men. I have my linebacker coach and special teams coordinator, Will Christopher. He's coached at the Citadel, and he's been at the Citadel, so he understands that the Army way, the military way. So it was important for me to have coaches that kind of understood, and also coaches that might have an idea of what some of these men have been through.
Yeah, and I think the thing that you get, and it's kind of what Coach K just kind of talked about from Duke, where you start with character, right? You start with building a character and a culture. You don't just make rules, right? These guys in the military, they've got rules. They've had things shoved down their throat. But if you just start with character and culture, right, then the rules become easy. The practices, the whole system works because you got guys that are doing it for a bigger reason than just because coach said so. And I think that's just one thing that I know organizations out there do that. But it's like you said, Coach, when you bring guys that understand that kind of mentorship, because that's, we can call it coaching, but 80% of it is mentorship as well, right?
Correct.
Like it's, you're coaching them, for a couple hours, but the mentorship is a huge part, and it's just when you talk about bringing those guys on, that's what I hear about why you're bringing them on, because you're going to have guys that come in and they're going to know what right looks like. Correct. It's going to be a familiar feeling. Transition, like you said, Coach, make the transition easy, and that's just I am so interested. When Andy first posted this and I saw it, I am so interested to see how this works out, because you guys are the first ever, right? You guys are just
correct. That is correct. We're the first ever with a program like this. Yes,
it's just like, man, it's incredible, because we've had football since the 1870s, right?
Correct.
I mean, this is groundbreaking, man. It's awesome, and
that's what makes it exciting for me to be part of this, because every step of the way we're making history. Every step we make is just like the other night when we had the players report on campus and we had our first team meeting. That was history. That was history that occurred, and it was amazing. It was a great feeling to walk into the gymnasium when we had our team meeting and to talk to 30 plus men that are here for the first time to be the beginning stages of this program. So it was awesome feeling.
No doubt. Are you guys planning to play next season? When are you guys will first play games?
We're gonna open up in the fall of 23. That's when we'll start playing. Right now we're looking at trying to come up with 3 non-conference games. We'll be playing in the Sun Conference. We'll have 7 conference games, and then we'll also play 3 non-conference games. This year, what we'll do this year, what I talked to the staff about, was treat it almost like the NFL does with OTAs. We're going to go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays this fall, and 45 minutes in the classroom and just build up their football IQ again, and then go out on the field and do walkthroughs, walk through everything they just learned in the classroom. And I think it's important that we don't overdo it, and I think it's important that we just teach and the fundamentals, and just teach them the offense, the defense, the special teams, And I think that's the way we can build their football IQ back up again.
With that, is this serve as those guys like prep school year then because they aren't playing this season, or is this like their clock starts this year?
No, it's like a prep school year, and it's like a red shirt year for them. So like a Chris Carter, it's like a red shirt year for him. So he will still have 2 years left, which is amazing to me. He has 2 years left, and I'm like, somebody's just blessed us to give him 2 years. We've been blessed.
Yeah, I was going to talk about Chris. Chris Carter is a name that Army fans will remember. Chris, his freshman year at Army, 2015, was a starting quarterback in the Army-Navy game. And on the other side of the field was NFL-bound Keenan Reynolds, right? And in that game, Army kept that game close. I believe it was a 24-17 score. It was a touchdown game. Went down to the wire. I know Army tried some little trickery there toward the end to try to get a score on a wide receiver's pass and stuff like that. But Chris kept Army in the game against perhaps one of the greatest quarterbacks in Navy history as a freshman. So that tells you what his makeup is all about, right, on the field and stuff. And you saw Chris in his first game against Rutgers as a freshman starter. He threw for over 200 yards against Rutgers. So, I mean, this is a guy who has some game. Now, he's been in the Army. He was in – maybe you could tell us his story a little bit, Orlando, with him being in the Army a little bit and how you guys were able to sign him.
Well, he was in the Army, and I believe he was in the Army from the time he left West Point. He stayed in the military and served and did an awesome job serving. And then when I landed this head coaching position, he was one of the first players to reach out to me and said, he said, Coach O, I don't know if you remember me. I'm Chris Carter, and I was like, "Of course I remember you. How you doing? Where you at?" And he said, "I'm home back on the West Coast, and I heard you're a head coach now. I would love to come to Thomas University and get my degree and finish playing." I was like, "I'll send a plane for you. I'll send a plane out there to get you." And he's been great. He really has. He's been great. He's every step of the way. Everything I've asked him to do, he's quickly as he called me, he's become the spokesperson for the program. Anytime we need him to speak, and he'll speak with no problem. So he's done a great job. And I'm so happy to have him. And we flew him in about a month ago. When we did like a little meet and greet with alumni and people in the community, and he also participated in. We had a camp on campus, and he participated in that and did an awesome job. And people just love his smile and things that he's about. Him and the president hit it off really well, and then he just got back on campus Friday. He arrived on Friday, and he has himself an apartment, and he's loving it. He's back going to class. I saw him today with his books and going to school. And he said to me, "Coach O, it's a little different going to school now without a uniform." When he was at West Point, he had to go to school with a uniform on. But so he's doing well.
You tell him that you got spares and it'll make him feel more comfortable.
He was quite a quarterback in high school. I believe he played in high school with Royce Freeman, who had a successful career at Oregon and made the NFL. So I mean, he was a pretty good quarterback coming out of the West Coast, and great to see Chris back in football, right? Great to see Chris and you talked about it's probably like when you guys take the field for practices and when you guys get to play games, probably like having another coach on the field almost, right?
You're exactly right. It's like having another coach on the field. And then we're also very blessed that our quarterback coach, Sean Jones, won the national championship at Georgia Tech as the starting quarterback.
Wow. He
was the starting quarterback at Georgia Tech when they won the national championship. And
Bobby Ross days probably.
Yeah. So and he's right from here, from Thomasville. And he's from Thomasville. It's amazing this place here, Thomasville, they've had Sean Jones, and they had the Heisman Trophy winner, Charlie Ward. They're all from Thomasville.
Yeah.
It's amazing that you have, and they all graduated the same year from high school. One went to Florida State, and the other one went to Georgia Tech. One wins the national championship, and the other one wins the Heisman. That's amazing. That is amazing.
Good football tradition there.
Yes.
And now you guys are gonna continue that, which is great.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
Do you have anybody else on your team with an Army background? Anybody else on your roster with an Army background, or
trying to think
right now?
Andy, help me out. Do we have anybody else now? Army background?
We've got a couple guys coming. It's interesting when you do get the word out to some of the young men that are departing service. They say, well, I end terms of service in December or October this year. They can't get there for the end of the semester. So we have a future board that has, I love him because he's a tanker, and so was I, but we got a young man out of Fort Stewart coming that grew up in Houston. So yeah, we have a couple more coming. But Chris, if I'm not mistaken, is the only one right now. We have a bunch of guys that either are in the National Guard or have signed up and are at basic training now and will join us in January. So we've got to be a little bit forward thinking and understand that what we see walking around the football complex every day isn't everything that we got. You wish it was, but it's not. But going back to talk about Chris and guys that are gone at basic training now and we're getting back, or vice versa, that are coming with us for a semester and then we'll leave for basic training in January. I don't think you're going to find a more diverse college football locker room than what we have. If you send your son as a freshman to come sit in our locker room and he's sitting next to Chris Carter, that's a different experience he gets than the average college football locker room. You can walk in a room and see some kinds of diversity, but not all of it. You don't see education level. You don't see experience. You don't see faith. You don't see background that we have, that we can offer people coming from all over the country to come join what we got going on here. It's special.
I know. I literally want a pamphlet. A digital pamphlet, and I want to spam the entire Army.
Yes,
and
I wish I could. Yeah,
and I don't want my name to be on it, but I want everybody from chief of staff to the lowest ranking private to get this thing, because man, this is like as excited as you. I can't imagine. I'm excited just to see this thing kind of flourish and blossom. And I'm just a football fan, an Army fan. But this is for me as a leader in the Army, right? About to be a major, the opportunity this gives guys to go do something that they didn't have the chance for, or just didn't think that maybe they didn't have the confidence, right? So I have that where guys like, well, I joined the Army because I just I didn't think I was good enough to play at that level. I'm like, dude, you just, because, Andy, Coach O, self-admittedly, all my units run the combine, okay? We do combine at workouts, okay? I see if guys can do 225, run the 40, and I got guys, no joke, will lace it up, and they'll run 4.4s, 4.45s, right? Like, that's speed. That's speed.
Right.
All right? And that's like just natural raw ability, right? Without any kind of strength training outside of what they do on their own in the barracks or at the gym. So like, and that is what's the coolest thing is because I have interacted with numerous soldiers that have this is right up their alley. These are the guys you guys want.
Correct.
And like you said, you gotta wait for the ETS, right? Like, like we're gonna be telling guys to sell their leave dates, right? You're gonna ETS it. You ain't ETSing in September anymore. It'll be August, okay? You're showing up August 25th.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get you a weekend, right?
Yeah.
Like,
it's
and I know it can't, right? You can't really mess with that, right? It's not as easy as that, but there are guys that you can sell leave dates, you can take extra leave. And you can do stuff like that to where, they're not out of the Army until this date, but they've already signed out, right? Andy, like they're already out of the organization. So
terminal leave is a wonderful thing. Yeah.
Steve, we were trying to maybe have some camps around the country at different bases and posts around the country.
I'll run the one for you at Fort Carson.
Okay.
Coach.
All right. That'd be great.
That's what we
That
need.
would be awesome. That'll be awesome. That's what we need.
I've got buddies that played football that are in command out here. We can touch a lot of people on the Fort Carson. Just, if we just start, hey, this is what we're looking for. This is what we need to do.
Okay.
Let's get a group. We can run this meeting. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And we can push it out.
Okay.
And I think I really, because look, this started when did you guys actually know this was going to be a thing?
This was in January 1 when we knew it was going to be a thing.
Okay. So we're less than a year in, right? And I've been around Fort Campbell and Fort Carson during that time.
Okay.
And there's no Thomas U stuff that's floating around.
Okay.
Right. So
and that's been the issue, getting the information on post.
It's probably and Coach O, like you said, what was it, Stephen? What'd you say his name was? Fitzpatrick?
Ferguson.
Yep.
Ferguson. Yeah.
He's got a lot of red tape that he's got to go through.
Yes.
Right? I ain't got that. I got no red tape. I'm a fan.
And that's what we need. We need somebody that doesn't have their red tape.
That's right. I can't imagine the red tape he's got to go through.
Exactly.
It takes me a while to get something signed, and I'm in the Army. Yeah.
Now, Steve, that is the case. We can't go directly to the MWR at Fort Carson. We can't do that. I, even as a vet, as a full-time employee of TU, I can't walk on and start proselytizing about the virtues of our program. So there are limits to what we can and cannot do. And we need to be that brochure at every SFL tap test. We've explored that option, but every company and every school in America wants to be that too. And to do that, the U.S. Army or the Department of Defense would have to vet us pretty hard and make sure that this is going to be a solid thing for years and years to come. They can't put their rubber stamp on us just yet. We've just been around since January. So it's understandable yet disappointing that's a step in the process. Years from now, we might be saying a different thing. But for now, it's guys like you. It's word of mouth. It's a grassroots thing right now.
And Steve, maybe there's somebody else, another former Army football player at another post, like you said, maybe at Fort Campbell. That's there now, and I'm sure you know a bunch, right? I mean,
because at the end of the day, right? What are we talking about? We're talking about taking care of soldiers.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Which is one of my biggest passions: taking care of soldiers, mentoring soldiers. Right. That's what we're talking about here. We can wrap it around whatever you got, whatever people on the outside want to say. Right. But at the end of the day, to me, this is taking care of soldiers, giving them opportunities to excel at life in an environment to where the transitions. I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, this is something that is so intriguing and so right up the alley of what leaders need to do for their soldiers, is finding them the right opportunity for them to succeed. That's why I have no problem doing this. I mean, this is just like if, I had a middle school kid and it was a high school program, right? Or right. It's the same deal.
It is.
And that's another passion, right? Mentoring our next generation. I mean, that's what we're doing here.
Correct.
Yeah. Think about that. See, we can do this. Like, I'm one guy and we're one staff. We can get this done. I sure hope anyway. That's why I came down here. But the royal we, the Department of Defense, there's no reason we can't put together a killer football team in a couple of years, right? There's enough athletes. There's enough support for it. Imagine watching us run out of the tunnel and seeing a Marine sticker on the back of one guy's helmet, then a Navy sticker on the back of another guy, and a couple Army guys coming out there. The interest is, I think the word you said is intriguing, and it's right. I mean, and if we can harness everybody who wants to see us do well, I think we'll have a lot of success. But not to say it's going to be easy, but I think we can get there.
No, it's I mean, like Coach O said earlier, man. Every day is history, right? Yes. First practice, it's and you know what? It'll be such a learning experience too. It's just it's great, and to hear that you guys have the support from from Dr. Shepard, from the community, as your extended community, you guys have got my support. And I will, at any kind of capacity, I will be talking about TU to young soldiers, in an unofficial capacity, right?
Yeah.
But there will not be the rest of my time. There will not be a soldier who's getting out of the Army that I do not talk to him. Have you heard about this?
Okay.
And have you explored this? And then, I can get with you guys offline about this, but specifics that they need to know, and then what they can find out, and
Okay.
who they call and what they do. That stuff. If you weaponize me, I promise you, I will do my best to get the word out and make sure guys are at least making a call and saying, what is it? Where are you guys at? What do you got? What is this? What do you mean? Because I'm a veteran, I get to play here, kind of deal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Imagine 10 or 12 of you out there. I mean, it would be special.
Well, it's I've got we have quite a few Army football forums, so it'll be because at the end, like I said, we're not we're taking care of soldiers, right? 22 a day is a real thing, and it's because guys can't find what they had in the Army on the outside. And we lose a lot of good people because after they leave the Army, because of whatever reason, they don't have that community, they don't have that thing. And what a transition to get not only a further education, but to play sports, both good things for confidence and to set you up for success. Like I said, I'm bought in. I think it's I think this whole thing, like I said, first time I saw it from Andy, I was like, what is this? I've got to know more about this because this is incredible.
Yep.
So I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck.
Well, thank you. And I'm sure Andy will stay in touch with you, and hopefully we can get you on the line and talking with Stephen Ferguson, and hopefully maybe we can do a camp. That'd be great if we can do a camp with veterans. I would love to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I look every Saturday I do a camp with the community. I just go out to a big field. I post it on my Facebook neighborhood page. I'm like, hey, if you guys want to work out for an hour, we're going to be doing agilities. We're going to be doing, football, hand-eye coordination stuff with 8 to 14-year-olds, guys going into high school or whatever. Because like I said, giving back to the community, mentorship, making sure kids are exercising. I'll do that on 4 cars. You get me out of PT, Andy, I'll do that 5 times a week. So
maybe you guys could also talk about your roster. You want your roster of veterans mostly, but you're also you're recruiting high school kids that are in the ROTC programs too. So maybe you guys could talk about that a little bit, and maybe who knows, maybe a guy who they go to Army Prep. Maybe Army Prep's not the right fit for them. Maybe West Point's not the right fit for them, and maybe Thomas University's more of an option for them. So maybe Orlando, maybe you can go into that. You want mostly veterans, but you also have room
correct.
For
we would like to have the majority of our team to be veterans. We hope to have at least 110 by next fall. And at the same time, we're also bringing in high school young men that are interested in going in the National Guard. I think that's another avenue that we're exploring. And it's been really I've been really surprised because coaching at the Citadel, we always had issues with young men wanting to be at the Citadel and buy into the wearing the uniform and all that. And now it's been to me, I think it's been easy to convince a young man coming out of high school to join the National Guard, which has been shocking to me that a young man coming out of high school would be interested in the National Guard. But the National Guard has so much to offer to a young man coming out of high school, and especially maybe a young man that it might, if he went to college, had to get loans, might have to get loans and might not be able to afford to go to college. But the National Guard is talking about paying for their tuition, giving them a check every month, and at the same time allowing them to play football. So it's a win-win for a young man, and it's another way for that young man, like you said, Steven, to go to college, get his degree, and still chase his dream of playing football.
Yeah, I mean, you eliminate a lot of distractions. That young guys will find themselves in.
Correct.
I know. Both my brothers played college sports, and so I know some of the things they went through, and although I might have had distractions in a different sense, nothing ever took me away from, when I stepped between the lines, right? Like I was secured.
Mm-hmm.
It was like my safe space at a very intense place, right? Was football.
Right.
And like you said, Coach O, it's a way for a guy who, he could go to school, he could play football possibly, right? But then he's got to work, right? He might have to have a job or two jobs. He may be have to borrow books or walk somewhere where he walk. I mean, you could keep going. I mean, we all know the college student lives on ramen noodles and leftover pizza from the party he went to just to snag it, right?
Correct.
Like I can imagine that but what a mature decision that you find guys that are like, yeah, I'll join the National Guard if they're giving me this and this and this. So it's
amazing. And then I've also felt that going through this whole process, there'll be some opportunities for young men that might not be interested in the military or might not be interested in the National Guard. So, and I felt that those are the young men we can still reach out to, like offensive linemen. It's hard to find offensive linemen that want to be in the military or coming out of the military. Offensive line, defensive line. So those are the young men that that we have. Matter of fact, we have about 6 or 7 young men, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, that we'll have some scholarship money that we can use to have their bill not be as tough on them and their families.
I don't know about you guys, but you should just show them a picture of Ali Villanueva Martin outside of season. Bryce Holland, a guy I served with at Fort Campbell together.
Right.
That guy's shredded, completely shredded now.
Right.
So although it may not seem exciting at the time, it's guys do it, and you guys obviously have those connections. You're like, oh well, just let me shoot Bryce a note, see if he'll talk to you about how hard it really is, because there's thousands of us that have done it, and but Andy, just to let you know, I'm still 235, baby. All right, I still got, I still can play the mic if I needed to. All right,
we'll throw you in that A gap. Let's go.
That was also one question. What kind of offense, defensive scheme are you guys running? Are you going to try to start the program with?
Well, on offense, and I've been real careful what I'm saying about the offense, because everybody is waiting to find out exactly what we're going to do on offense. But I think that.
Oh, hey, that's fine. That's
no, but it's not hard if you really just look at all of our backgrounds. You know what we're going to do. You look at our backgrounds and where we've come and where we've been. It's going to be real easy. But on defense, we're going to be multiple. We're going to be multiple on defense. We'll start off with a odd front, but we'll be multiple.
Yep.
We want to be able to attack and be aggressive on defense.
Yeah. Is it good like a 3-4, but can be a 5-2, can be a bear.
Correct.
Can have that kind of look. Yeah.
Correct.
Cool.
Safe bet that it's going to look a lot like what we've been studying for the past 8 years up there on the banks of the Hudson.
Yeah. I went to a Tri-Academy golf tournament last Friday where Air Force plays Navy, plays Army. It's all the grads, right?
Mm-hmm.
And somebody called it the Hudson Rifle and Gun Club, or the Hudson Valley Rifle and Gun Club. That school up there. That's what you guys go to. And I was like, whoa, it's a little more than that. All right. But yes, that is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
So.
Is there anything else you guys like to tell people about the program before we get off? Anything that we may not have asked so during the podcast?
Just word of mouth. Thank you. I mean, Steve, to you personally, but to anybody who hears this, thank you, because word of mouth is where we're at right now.
Right.
Until
and
there's
that's what we need. We need the word to be spread out and spread it throughout the country, because we have something special here. We have something special here. At
You
Thomas
need
University.
every ETS from 16 August 2022 to 16 August 2023 right now, man. We need to talk to all those guys
correct
right now, and make sure they know this is an opportunity. I mean, it's and understand that yes, you have a year to build a program and you want guys now.
Right.
What wins games is athletes at the end of the day, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So,
and the thing
facilitating athletes in the right spot, knowing
absolutely.
how to play.
And they're going to get coached, and they're going to get coached by some really good coaches that have been at some major programs around the country, and they're going to be taught. They're going to be taught the right way. And my goal is to make it feel like a Division I program. Yeah,
Andy, I'm going to talk with you offline in the coming days. I'll shoot you a note tomorrow, just kind of talking points, and I'm gonna start running with this week for you guys. I think it's
thank you.
Like I said, man. No, this is taking care of soldiers. This is basically if you could put a personality of a football school, right, of caring about soldiers, giving them opportunity to extend their education and play a game that they love. I mean, it's a no-brainer for a lot of these young soldiers who don't know what to do. Correct. They just know that they're done serving. Absolutely, man. I'm so excited to see you guys next year. Whatever kind of package I have to put on the credit card, I'm going to get. Sal, we might be able to give immediate recaps on Army and on TU, man.
That would be great.
Let's do it. Hey guys, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks we learned a lot about the program. We hope to learn a little bit more. You guys feel free to keep in touch with us. Okay. And once you maybe even get closer to next season, we'd love to have you back on, see what the progress is right now. And it was awesome for this time to talk to you guys. Check out our podcast. Check out our YouTube page, also BlackKnight Nation, and I'll have this up on BlackKnight Nation Twitter and my personal Twitter too, and I'm going to retweet it out too to get the message out even more about this great thing that Orlando and Andy are doing with Thomas University and the football program made up of mostly military veterans. Another edition of BlackKnight Nation podcast. Thanks again for everybody watching us, and we'll be back Sunday, right, Steve? We got a big one on Sunday. We have Ahmad Bradshaw scheduled on Sunday for the BlackKnight Nation podcast, so that'll be great to catch up with Ahmad. So
Thomas says hello.
We'll do, Coach O.
We'll do. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.